That's the kind of quality of brake line you can expect from a 20-year-old Honda in the Rust Belt. I mean, this probably wasn't far from blowing up, was it? Holy! I think it's fair to say that the brake line replacement has not gone to plan. Welcome to Duluth Junction Workshop. I'm Tyler. This is my 2001 Honda Insight I named Swamp Gas, and it is having some issues. It's been in the garage for about 2 months now, probably, while I've been driving the Saab and my F100 and all kinds of stuff. It's got two major problems. The first problem is that it was on the lift at an auto shop this summer. One of the brake lines ruptured by itself and started dripping on the floor. So I got them to put a pre-bent line in, but I figured it's good to have the whole set, and we will replace all those lines on this car. The second issue is that my hybrid assist has gone kaput. We may look at that in this video, we may look at it in a different video, but I think I found potentially a free and relatively easy way to fix the battery and bring life back into it. But for now, let's jack this thing up, let's get the old rusty brake lines off, and we'll put this amazingly, totally available stainless steel brake line set in. Someone makes a kit for this car. I am astonished. Right here we have our adorable 1-liter Honda ECA1. It's inline 3 based on a microcar engine from Japan. It's very fun and sounds kind of funky. The transmission is on the driver's side, so there's the hybrid motor is in there in the transmission where the flywheel would be. We're going to be concerned over here where we have our kind of brake valve body for the ABS and everything. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different lines coming in here, and we got to take care of all of these, I believe. The ones in here, I think someone may have done work to these before. They may have replaced some, but we can see that the fittings are corroding, and back in here we see rust on some of these brake lines. So we're going to get these all replaced with stainless, and I've traced down this one in the driver's rear of the valve body, goes over to the passenger wheel. Let's see if we can get this one out and start the ball rolling. Unclip them one by one. Okay, yep, we're just going to break in half. Okay, so that's going to go in the trash slash maybe try to find another one pile. It's still good. I've decided to get smart, and that means taking out my old art markers from college and marking up a brake line diagram. So I marked where everything goes, where it comes from, and then so I can kind of match up and say, hey, this is C, marked C, so that's the orange one, and I can see, oh yeah, C, okay, let's see, it goes from ABS to a proportioning valve lower front. And that makes it a lot easier for me to match these up with the new ones and make sure that my new ones look correct. So let's keep going on these. I want to see if I can get the top two that go to the master cylinder off, and that should make it a little bit easier to get the lower ones off down here. That's the plan, at least. D here is giving me hell of a fight from the proportioning valve up to ABS. Hopefully it's moving, not rounding off, but I think it's rounding off. We have to remove the proportioning valve itself. This doesn't feel good. Yep. Well, there it is with the orientation. It's in the car. Kind of the bolt here is forward. And we got our crusty nut there. Yeah, buddy. Okay, line D. Got the D. Or should I say I got the D off? I don't know. It's a family program here. I think the next ones I do should be the A and F. And those are two that go from the ABS module over to the master cylinder. And since they run at the top of the firewall, basically, they should be a little bit easier to pull out than a lot of them. And I can actually get maybe some space over here to do stuff. Okay, sweet. Okay, that one moves. I can see it move against the lines slightly, so we might be in business here. Oh, that's the wrench moving against the nut, not the nut moving against the line, isn't it? Line wrenches, I swear to God.
We can get a regular wrench on then.
Yeah, or a socket. 6-point socket would be ideal. Okay, she's schnipped. If I would have waited 2 more years, these would have been so much worse. All right, now that I got these unhooked at the master, I'm gonna try to pull them out through the engine bay.
Feels like it's...
Is it the one with the U-bend?
Yeah, but it's not even, you're not even hooking on the U-bend yet.
Sweet.
What is it stuck on?
Looks like it's gonna be easier to just take the whole battery box out and then I can have access in there. Because even if I get this out, I still have to put the new one back in. All right. Okay, we got our brake booster here. This is our power steering motor, electric power steering. And then I unhooked the vacuum line to the brake booster so we can get this brake line past it. I'm gonna pull this, I think it's A brake line through first. Sweet. I'm glad I bought the whole kit because, I mean, this stuff is, I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, these were on their way out. It's been a couple days because this job has got me very frustrated, but I'm going to try to get a little bit done tonight. So my goal tonight to keep things under control is to take out line E here, and that's going to be this green one from the driver's side wheel over to the ABS module. Oh boy, come on you little... This is such a gigantic pain. All right. What I do know is this is nasty. This is really bad. I mean, this probably wasn't far from blowing up, was it? We'll get this out. Get the other side out too, and we'll make some progress. So we got it coming out here. It's a union down there. Put some juice on her. Blame it on the boots, baby. Blame it on my juice. Oh, that was way too easy. Oh, there we go. That's why, because we're just gonna drip all over the floor. Actually, see, there's one more union right up here. So let's pull this thing out, and then we can get that line out. I decided it'd be easier just to pull this whole brake hose off, but of course that is its own struggle. So hopefully this all goes okay. I think I need to pull the whole hose off and sneak this line out on the vise. Remember that Rallycross episode? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ah, sweet. Heat is the key. Heat is always the key. That's all out, so it's time for me to go to bed. That was a huge pain in the butt, and I may have to buy some new hoses just because they're so rusty, and I don't want to be putting stuff back on the car that's so rusty and have to do all the stuff again. Checking in with parts, we have line A. Line B is a stainless one that's still on the car, not taking it off. C, D, E connects to this one. F. So the only ones left are G and H, which are the pink and purple here. And they go from the proportioning valve all the way back to the rear axle. So I want to go and check out where they are on the car. As suspected, the brake lines come out of the back of the engine bay next to the exhaust, and they come into this little clip thing. That needs to be either recreated or restored because that's about to fall off from rust. Then these come back underneath the full body tray. Then they come out by the evap canister here, I believe, up in the top here. over the axle, into the hose. And then on the other side we have the identical scenario where it goes around the side of the fuel tank. So this is going to be really fun. I get to pull off both underbody panels and come back here and try to fish it around this area. So hopefully there's a union in there somewhere. Alright, I have not had this belly pan out fully before. I had to clean some dirt off it after I went rally crossing. But there we go. There's still dirt on it. Smell that. I actually was having trouble with these little Christmas tree nuts I put in earlier. So they lay really flat, and I had to get a trim removal tool to pull them out. After some issues with this, I actually filed down the edges so it's a little bit more of a scoop. And this actually does okay. Here's what she looks like underneath. Pretty straightforward. We got her brake line right there. I guess we'll get working on that. Why is there a zip tie? Someone's been in here. I knew there had been work done under here because we had that extra line zip tied in here. It was kind of messy, and I found out why here. So we have this line is actually cut off completely. Someone chopped it off and just threw the new line over it. I guess that's fine if you're trying to just get the car back on the road, but I'm gonna try to do it better. The problem is that the clips are really, really bad. So I marked them all. So this is number 4. We have 3 up in the engine bay, and then 5, and we're going along all the way to make them all noted separately, so I can know how many I need of each. This one looks like it'll be extra fun. Oh my, that's actually not too bad at all. Oh, yeah, it is. We're gonna break that line clean off. There we go. Classy. So, what? Are you supposed to pull the evap system out for this? Ugh! Getting dirt in my ear canal. I was considering pulling this bracket off here because it's really flimsy. And it looks like it could use to be restored and reinforced. It looks like I might have to get the brake line out. So we can see this one, G goes here and then all the way over to the driver's side rear wheel. And that I thought was the only one in there, but it turns out that's the one that was duplicated. So this is the new G, I'll call it G2. And I'm finding that the G1, probably the reason they didn't pull it out is because it goes over the fuel tank, which is a big pain in the butt. And remember, those fuel tank struts are super rusty. Now here is H, and H goes to the passenger side wheel, and that is in currently 1, 2, 3 pieces. So there's only one more line to pull off, and that is G1. I have to figure out where it goes. I think I have to pull the fuel tank out. Okay, so the fuel tank straps are pretty easy to get to, it looks like, but at least they're rusty, so we can have a little bit of fun with it at least. Luckily, the tank has been stored safely in the Titanic for 300 years, so we don't have to worry about anything but fatal rust on everything. I don't know if you can see, there's a bolt right in here that we're going to try to get out. First of all, to access one of the front bolts, I had to pull off the exhaust heat shield, but to get that out, I had to remove this cover. And if you can't see the cover, that's because it's covered in dirt. This must have been rallycross dirt. So I'm going to pass these on to the fabrication shop, see if we can get these made up in stainless instead of mild steel and never have to do this job again. All right, so I've been cataloging the hardware in this car, so when I go to the hardware store, I can go and buy what I need in stainless so it doesn't rust again. So I got an extra bag, but I mean, I have a huge pile of these things. So the one thing that I'm missing right now is this sheared off bolt from in the engine bay that holds a proportioning valve in. So let's go pull that out. Now it lives right in here on the strut tower, and I was getting really worried because there's no room. You hit the engine block or the head right there, and you can't get a screw extractor in there. So what do? I'm looking around here, and my dad came out to get something. He goes, well, why don't you go from the other side? So we got in from the other side, and there's that hole that you can actually access that bolt from. So let's get that out. So I think I'm gonna try to drill all the way through the bolt. It's about a 1/2 inch long, so that's gonna go, you know, about to the end of the head. We'll see if we can get through to the end and then extract from the engine bay side. Real fun. Let's see if we can get this darn thing out. Oh, it looks like it came out the edge. That's not good. Okay, well, I'm bending the screw extractor at this point. We'll throw some oil in it and come back a different day. I gotta see how far I have to go down with this before it either one of the fuel lines gets taut up there, or maybe I can access that brake line. We're in luck. There in the old yellow clip there is the old brake line. So as long as I can start popping that off, I think I can get this thing out. Oh, this is crusty as all crap here. All right. So most of this line was covered in plastic, like a plastic coating, so it survived pretty well for the most part, but as you get to the end here, I had to bend this a little bit, but you can see there's starting to get rust through the whatever coating is on the actual line itself. And then as it went under the fuel tank, it started to get pretty bad here. Here's the corner, and that you can see is heavily rusted. This actually broke at this point along with this piece that was also really bad. So that's the kind of quality of brake line you can expect from a 20-year-old Honda and the rust belt. All right, I did replace the drums, the shoes, and the hardware in here this spring. What I want to do basically is get this brake line off. I got new wheel cylinders and brake hoses to go on, and I got a new line for this. So I'd like to get all these renewed as well. Oh boy, oh boy. Holy. Okay then. Let's try the brake wrench number 2. There we go. It says Rhino hide. So somebody was concerned about the brakes on this thing. I'm sure they were having a shop doing it, and they were probably saying, well, keep it as cheap as possible because I don't have $1,000 to blow on it. And then they sold it to me, and I said, $1,000? Where do I sign? Ta-da! Okay, so we got a hose over here. How does that come out? A clip? Probably a clip. On the inside here, we have a, what do you call it? Is that a 12 mil? I don't know what it used to be, but it's not anymore. Oh, geez. Really? Oh, no. Whole thing's trying to move. Yikes. Oh, jeez. I've established that getting the brake hoses off the brackets on the rear axle is going to be impossible without the axle coming out of the car. I wanted to do it anyway, but I don't have the bushings for it. New plan of attack to get this axle out. First I want to take this hub out, and that'll mean I have to take this nut off the bottom of this bump stop. Then I have 4 nuts in the back of the hub assembly. Pull the hub assembly out, hopefully pull that out of the drum area, and then I can unhook the clip on the e-brake cable and then pull the backing plate hopefully off the axle completely, and then just set that aside. That'll allow me to not mess with pulling the e-brake cable out or having to adjust any of that. Thankfully my circlips are in perfect condition. Oh, that actually got the hub out too. Awesome. Definitely got some weight reduction going on in here. Look at this thing. I took this thing rally crossing and the axle didn't come apart, so. Let's just keep it where it is and not get any worse. How about that? I have successfully sheared off all 4 bolts connecting the wheel speed sensors to the axle, so that's going to be really fun. Turns out it's $156 per side to buy new speed sensors, so I cannot damage these. Let's just pull the whole axle off. There's nothing left, so let's drop it. God fucking damn it! Every damn thing! New plan of attack. I'm going to take the heat gun and heat up the aluminum around the bolts as much as I can. Aluminum should expand faster than steel. And then I'm going to shoot some oil in there while it's really hot, and then see if I can just zip them out of there with impact. Now I did get an impact extension, so hopefully it's a little safer today, but I don't know. These things need to come out. I'm very aware that I am working next to both a fuel tank and a 144 volt battery, which are both within a foot of where I'm working, so I don't want to get too crazy with torches and stuff, but the stuff's got to come out. All right, now my process was heat gun first, mostly on the aluminum parts. Then I took my breaker bar and I was able to break them loose, just a little bit with the breaker bar. And then I took the impact and ran them out. So I have only 2 bolts holding the entire axle in right now. It's this one and the other one, so it's kind of hanging down. It's ready to take out. So I've got my dad coming out in a second here. We're gonna try to lift this thing over the exhaust here, between the fuel tank and the trunk. Toss it under the car.
Huh?
Toss it under the car. You want to hold it in place and trade places? There we go. Okay, your way slightly, just very gentle. I twist down like this. Okay, your way. And then down. Unfortunately, the axle removal has not gone to plan. We had to drop the entire exhaust system, and in doing so, one of the bolts at the downpipe snapped off with almost no effort at all. So we're gonna try to get this axle out, and that's gonna be quite the challenge. I don't know if we have a light here, but it's really it's in a pickle. We're in a pickle. Oh, she's mint.
A lot of it's undercoating.
That's coming off, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a lot of steel coming off.
Here,
well, yeah, this is
this
is the paint.
Oh, what is that?
That's metal. There's no way to get around the fact that metal is coming off this thing. I mean, this just pieces of metal. This is the bracket that was bending before when I was trying to take it off, so I get the chance to, now that I have new hoses and this is out of the car, I can heat the crap out of it and pull that off. And then that's how it's supposed to look. That's how this one looks. So this is at a big angle. I'll get these hoses off, and
Does this bracket have to come off?
Yep, these have to come off. So these are wheel speed sensors.
Is there supposed to be a bolt in that?
Yeah, I broke off both bolts trying to pull them out.
Oh, okay.
And here's the bolt I broke off the suspension mount. That's an M12. I think it's fair to say that the brake line replacement has not gone to plan. I think it's fair to say that almost nothing in this job has gone to plan.
We're replacing bolts.
Here's a downpipe here. Here's the loose bolt that was in there with a nut on the back, and that's actually not even a full circle because it's rusted through. And then here's the little stud that popped off with no effort whatsoever. So I had to figure out what to do with this. I think taking the whole downpipe off the head would be asking for trouble, but I'm not sure what else we can do with this. So I essentially have compounding issues here. I have the axle that is super rusty and needs to be sandblasted and restored. I have a bushing that is completely gone. I mean, it's just trashed, and you cannot get new bushings. And then I have a bolt that goes through the middle, and that's not available either, and I broke it off. Everything that needs to be replaced is not available, and everything that's still here needs to be restored. The way I see it, I have three options, and none of them look great. So the first option that I can do is I can get a replacement axle from a junkyard for about $300. The upside of that is that I would have one relatively quickly. I could get one probably within the week. The downside is that I would still have a rusty axle. I would still have 20-year-old bushings because the bushings have not been available for about 10 years now. And I really wouldn't be any far ahead except for having bolts that weren't broken off. The second option is that I could fabricate new bushings by pouring them, and there are tutorials on YouTube about how to pour your own bushings. The third option that I think I'm going to go with is to get a machine shop to make bushing adapters for the Mark II Volkswagen Golf rear suspension bushings, and that would allow me to use Mark II Golf bushings in the sleeve, and then the sleeve and the bushing would go inside the Honda axle, and that would allow me to have a serviceable part and a relatively decent range of options for bushings. The problem is that none of these solutions are particularly cheap or easy or quick. Oh, what did I get myself into? We gotta bracket things off both sides. So the plan is to burn the rubber out there and then kind of chisel these out as you do. We'll get this axle restored and we'll start putting stuff back in, hopefully. Woo! Well, I've been sandblasting. It's super dusty in here, but I got these brackets done. We're gonna get these powder coated.
Hey, what's that hanging on the front of your bike?
I got some fuel tank strap prototypes made out of stainless steel. I left the old ones at the shop, but he wanted me to bring these back and try them out. So they're all stainless steel, so they won't rust again. And I've got some new rubber strips coming to mount those on. I got all these fuel and brake line brackets that are like clips that came off the bottom of the car, and they had the rustiest little piece of crap pieces of metal in here. So I had them remake them in stainless as well, and those will go in kind of like this. I don't know if this one is gonna fit, but I might have to have them a little bit thicker. We took these home as a prototype to see if they'd work, and I think they got too much wiggle room in here. So the plan here, if these work, if I can make them happen, which I better because they're expensive, I would like to make these available for sale on eBay or something. So other Inside owners who also cannot get replacement fuel tank straps could buy a kind of like weatherproof alternative that will last for the duration of, or the life of the entire car. So let me know in the comments if you're interested in these. I'll probably have a second set brought home or made and put into stock so I can throw it on eBay and see if there's interest in the general community. But these are made locally here in Lake Elmo, and it's pretty awesome to be able to get stuff made for a car that nothing's available for. It's a nice day today, so I figured I'd come out and finish up the axle sandblasting. I tried to conserve some of the sand. The sand is expensive as hell, and tried to pour some back in. It got a little water in it. Now it's clogging up literally every 2 seconds. So I'm gonna cut my time losses and also money losses on sand, and I'm just gonna take this to a sandblaster place and have them do it. It should be around the same cost as blasting a bicycle frame, I think, which is I think about $200 for powder coating. Hoping that's the case, and we'll update when it comes back. All right, so we have had a heck of a time trying to work on this bolt down here for the proportioning valve. We've just said, you know what, let's just screw it. Let's do it a different way. So,
Because we had to use this to get in there, and it was a little bit bent.
I welded 2 nuts onto it and then 2 bolts, and all 4 of those broke off. Then we got this special goofy screwdriver thing. It's a 90-degree deal. I got the screw extractor, so once we got a hole, we can stick this in from the engine side and hopefully turn the bolt and get it out.
That is the worst thing that can happen, because this is like hardened steel. We should have probably drilled it all the way through.
Good?
Let's go.
Woo! That was it, huh? Going in now?
Better, but...
Not 1 minute after I ordered a new tap wrench. Sweet. So I think that's we're gonna call that a night, and we'll come back to it again. If this is a shop, I mean, this would not, we'd be getting yelled at. Let's say that. We got that stubborn bolt out from the proportioning valve, and we had to drill the bolt out, and then the drills didn't go in straight, so ended up just throwing a tap through kind of the edge of the bolt and a little bit of the edge of the chassis. It's not ideal, but we got a bolt back in there, and it doesn't look like it was going to work any other way. I went into this project looking to renew the brake lines and get a couple things tidied up, and unfortunately it spiraled way out of control. I found a lot more wrong than I thought was wrong, and there's an obvious reason. This is the cheapest insight I could find. You saw how rusty this car was coming apart, and it scared me as much as it probably scared you. But do not fear, because I'm having parts professionally restored. This is the beam axle that used to be really rusty, and you can see it got nicely powder coated. So watch for the next episode on this if you want to see this stuff. I'm actually, the stuff that I cannot get, or the stuff that is hard to get, I'm actually having custom fabricated from stainless steel and other better ingredients, you know, make a better pizza. So subscribe and join me in the next one. Press on.